boom, 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 boom. Gonna. All right, look. So somebody asked me earlier today, man, about this build, about a hybrid build that I had. I was watching someone else's video, and I just made mention that I had a build, a hybrid build similar, or it's really not similar. Actually, not similar. But it's a hybrid. So in that regard, I guess it would be. But someone had asked what the bill was. So I figured I would just go ahead and just show it. And uh, so this is the build right here. And sometimes I would run the police MK. I started out using the police MK17, and then I started becoming more partial to the M1A close quarter combat rifle. And I also got a rifle build that I use this on. Really, really, really nice rifle build. Oh, I love the rifle build. Oh my god. So anyway, but this is the build. So this particular build here, I say it's a 6 and 6 build, meaning six red core. It's equivalent, not it's equivalent to having six red cores, and it's also a six tier skill build at the same time. And I had multiple versions of the build because I initially started it out as a hybrid healing skill DPS build, so to speak. So, but what happens is when you run these type of builds through these missions so much, because we don't have new content, so we're running the same missions over and over and over. And what happens is you start getting real competent at doing the missions and things like that. So it got to the point where it was like, ah, I don't even really even need the hills anymore. Like, and I play solo most of the time. And the way I came about this build was I was trying to come up with a build that I could get through a legendary solo with. And so I would run the solo mission, and I'm like, man, where did I struggle at? What did I need? What was I missing? Then I'll come back to the drawing board. And I wound up coming up with this, and this was I had no, I was fine. Um, Now, obviously, you have to know your placements. So I would normally run it with, say, a turret. So you have to know where to put your turret at. You have to know, the spawn points and things like that, and all that. All that comes into the build. So a lot of times people show the builds, and the gameplay footage is actually really important to go along with that because you have to know where a lot of times where to put the drones and where to where not to set up where things like that. So I'm not going to really run any gameplay footage because I don't really have any. Somebody just asked me about the build. So like I said, this is the build. Is I call it the Monster Cody build. But so what you got here is again six skill tiers and what I call equivalent to six red cores. So the reason why six tier skill because you get the one from the memento, then you're getting one from running the two-piece Brazos. Then I got one on my knees, the chest piece, which is Wyvern, and then also the Grupo Sombra. So that right there gives me two red cores because I'm running the Brazos. Um, the Picaro's holster that gives you the 15%, and you're getting the 15% from the memento. But also the capacitor is giving you an additional 45% weapon damage, right? Just for having a six tier skill build, you're getting an additional for that. So then what I would do is also I include because that's you get 45% gives you three. So then I would also include I'm running Spark right now, so that's another 15%. So I consider that another red core, right? So that's where I come up with it's equivalent to running six red cores. That's where I come up with that. So because that would give you the three. But so in addition to all of that you get from just the basics of the build, obviously you're also getting the 10% skill damage from Wyvern, but and then you're getting your skill damage from your tactician, and you're also getting your six skill tier from the tactician, right? But In addition to that, it's 51% crit chance on the build and almost 190% crit damage on the build. And it's virtually 1.3 million armor on the build also. So it's a pretty unique build because, like I said, you're getting a 6 tier skill build, what I like I said like to call equivalent to a 6 red cores, and then in addition to that, you're getting um, the crit damage, the 100 almost 190% crit damage on a 1.3 million armor build. And the reason why I say it's almost 1.3 is because if you roll a few of these pieces to 12%, which you don't have to use any exotic components to do that, but you'll be at 1.3 million. So this is how I would know. This is how I run the build now. But this build went through a lot of different evolutions because initially I did have repair skills built in there. And if you want to do that, that's fine. If you want to do more of the repair skills, so you could be out of cover more, and you might be maybe not familiar with the spawn points initially, or you have trouble getting out of the way of grenades and things like that. Of course, we're strictly talking about legendary because other than legendary, you don't need the drone at all, the healing drone at all. But if you're talking about that, then I would make maybe a change or two. The way I used to run this, as far as with the repair skill aspect, I would run. I think I probably even still got. I deleted a lot of those builds because of we got so much new gear. I made this build a couple years ago when that whenever the Picaros holster came out is when I made this build. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so that's what I used to run on the chest. I used to run the kinetic momentum with the so that's giving me 15% skill damage, plus it's giving me 30% skill repair. So that just under that that's just ridiculous. So I would run that like that with the drone. I used to also have incoming repairs on the build also. So this was it was a totally different type of build that time because it was more based on healing. But once I got to know the missions and be more comfortable and things like that, trust my skills more, I just didn't really see needing the heal. So I wound up deleting those versions of the builds. But I could always throw them back together. It's I still got probably those pieces. I just deleted probably some of the other pieces that I no longer needed. But this is the build. And then on the second weapon, I would run in sync on it. I don't have the rifle on this build. It's on another character. But you can really run whatever you want. But I like to run in sync on a rifle because when sometimes when they're down range, you might be having a hard time getting them with the AR or whatever the case may be. Boom, you can just switch over to your rifle. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? It's more accurate, and you just knock them down. You got range, doing a lot of damage from distance. So that's how I would run that. And then obviously with in sync, you're getting 30% skill and 30% weapon damage. So it holds up. It still holds up nice even once you switch to your secondary. And so that's the build. Basically, you got I'm running the Grupo. And this is my third character because again, this build is on all three of my characters. I have four characters, but my fourth character is my level 30 character, and I use that for exotic component runs and things like that in the Dark Zone. So that's why I keep that at level 30. But this is my third character technically that I run at 40, and so all the builds these are my third level builds. So if I was to go to my first character, that build on that character would be maxed out, and my second character probably maxed out. But this is the build that I probably run the least. But I like all my primary builds, which I got about four primary go-to builds. I have them on all three of my characters, which is my Iron Lung build, my LMG, I mean my striker build that I run with my Elmo, this build, and then my rifle build. Those are my four go-to builds that I like to play with from time to time. I shuffle in between. So I got all four of those builds on each character. I did make a sniper build. Everybody got sniper builds. Just not a big sniper fan. I don't. I like to shoot too much. The one shot, it just it's not for me. But this is the build. You got Spark. Now, one thing I will say is if you don't have the capacitor or you don't want to run the capacitor for whatever reason, that's fine. And you can always switch it up. If you did that, or put it this way, if you wanted to run, say, because you could always run spotter on here as well, to get additional, get the 15% weapon damage and skill damage. So that's another option if you want to go with that, but you would be losing so much from the capacitor. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you didn't have the capacitor and you wanted another option to run it, then that would be probably my next option to do it like that. But the capacitor is the engine in this, in the gut. The capacitor is the capacitor. And like it don't run. I just matter of fact, my AC just went out a few weeks ago, and it was my capacitor that shut it down. So without the capacitor, it don't run. That's just that to that. But yeah, that's my iron lung. Yeah, that's my iron lung. I love my iron lung, man. I'm telling you, I've gotten so good with this iron lung. It's the Elmo to me is the best gun in the game. Is as far as what you can do with it, the Elmo is just ridiculous. But the iron lung, it's become my second. Like it used to be the capacitor before the Elmo, and then the Elmo came. I just love the Elmo. But this iron lung, I'm starting to get used to playing with it. And the way I got my build set up with this, I got two different builds that I run with the iron lung, and nasty, nasty work, nasty work. Oh, nasty work. Ah, man, I'm telling you, if you don't play, if you haven't made an iron lung build, you can throw something real quick together, real quick, like throw a three-piece striker with Cheska or Providence on the chest with Obliterate, and then run the Ninja Bike backpack, and then run the contractor gloves. You got your build. You got your build. You're going to be at about 45% crit chance and like 120 something, 125 crit damage, and that's all you need. You're going to be doing 1.3 million, and it's nasty work, nasty work. Real good build. You're going to reload decent. It's not super fast, but you're going to reload decent. And but I can get into that some other time. But anyway, I'm out of here. Gonna I'll at you, boy.